It's amazing, like the anxiety or pain. How we as Czech practitioners look at it is it's a messenger. When we look at how mainstream often deals with it, is like you throw in a Panadol or ibuprofen and just mask the message, so you shut it off, and then further down the track, the strategy doesn't work anymore because then you miss the initial cue of your body telling you, hey, you need to pay attention. More often than not, there's an important reason why it's showing up for whoever is coming to the clinic. So basically, we're improving the feedback mechanisms in the body so that people actually are in relationship with their bodies, with their feedback systems, and then they get better at managing themselves. Everyone that works with other people, it's like the most important thing to come back to is you need to fill your cup first. And it's like if someone has a giving nature, it's like sometimes so hard to come to that place because it feels so easy to give to other people. But you can play that game only so long till you start to really burn out and lose the connection to yourself or lose yourself in the process of that.
So haere mai, from my heart place to your heart place, Martin, to the Heart Place Hospital podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. So welcome everyone to another episode of the Heart Place Hospital podcast. And today we're excited to have you, Martin, founder of Foundation U, with us. You're a trailblazer in integrative health, specialising in holistic approaches to chronic pain, injury prevention and overall wellbeing. With over 12 years of experience, you've become one of New Zealand's highest qualified C.H.E.K practitioners, which is Corrective Holistic Exercise Kinesiology Institute, and a level 3 holistic lifestyle coach, helping clients achieve lasting transformation by addressing the physical, mental, and emotional aspects of health. In this episode, we hope to cover your journey and expertise in the importance of posture, breathing, and lifestyle in the healing process. And we'll explore your approaches to create systems that promote health naturally, focusing on root causes rather than palliative care. Additionally, we aim to discuss how empathy, listening, and compassionate leadership are essential in transforming health care experiences. When you're not with clients, you enjoy the natural beauty of Mangawhai, New Zealand, where your clinic is based, and you spend time with your family and continue to refine your craft through education and research. So we can't wait to learn from your experience and your wisdom, Martin, as you guide us through the science and art of achieving optimal health, wellbeing, and performance.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess the first kind of question is kind of a little bit on speed dating, but if you could share with us how you got to where you are now.
Oh, that's a cool one. So it started like when I had my first crisis in my life, basically. So I was 21 at the time, doing a bachelor in economics. So something completely different. And I didn't really enjoy it at all. In fact, it was like working half-time in a big corporate and then the other half being in university. And I could see how my health was plummeting, my mental health was plummeting. And I'm just dragging myself into work, following instructions that are so not aligned with my values on how to interact and treat people. So then it took only a while to really have a breakdown and say, hey, I need to throw in the towel because I feel like my heart is just not in it. Mm. At the time I was doing a lot of sports, like really passionate about resistance training already, doing breakdancing and also performing shows with my crew at the time. So that was really my passion. And then I basically said, okay, what would happen if I follow my heart instead of like what I think I need to do? So then I had a little argument with my dad, but chose to switch to sports science. And that was the beginning of a completely different career, but I knew that that's what I really wanted to do. I had a lot of pain as well in my body, chronic lower back pain, and I went to a lot of specialists in the medical system, often finding that there was no time of really assessing or hearing me in my experience and just prescribing band-aid solutions, such as like bandages for the knees, or like you just need to stop doing those activities. So that felt extremely frustrating. And eventually I found my first mentor at that time, who was the person that helped me out of my pain, showed me different ways of working with it and starting to see, okay, you got to move as well in a certain way on top of the treatments. And then I basically ended up doing an internship with this man, Wolfgang, for 1.5 years, and he taught me how to do massages, how to do treatments, mobilizations, how to see the body as a holistic system, and really diving head first into like medical emergencies and people that are already out of the medical system again because there's no help for them anymore. So I
Mm.
basically was right into the trenches when I was like 23 at that time. So that's how the journey began, and I'm still on it at this point.
Amazing. And so I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about the C.H.E.K practitioner
Yeah,
training
the
and
C.H.E.K
yeah, yeah,
practitioner
yeah,
training.
yeah.
Um, so I stumbled upon Paul C.H.E.K, who is the founder of this approach, probably 10 years ago. And he has a YouTube channel, and he was kind of like all over the internet, a very interesting man. And it took a few years until a friend of mine, also from Germany, he started doing the training before me. And I could see, like, when he assessed me and showed me how it works, I could see, wow, it's starting to connect a lot of the dots that I already started seeing as a therapist myself. Because I always had the feeling you can't just choose one discipline. It doesn't work. There's not a cure-all kind of approach.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see how Paul put together all the different things that I was already seeing. So putting the threads together. And then I was like, that's a missing piece for how I can, first of all, be more effective as a coach and therapist, but also having systems that you can produce reliable outcomes for whoever is coming through your door.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then I started diving into this work in 2019, and I'm just about to finish my 4th year this February, and then my last year will be next year, and then I'm done with 5 years of training with the
Wow.
institute.
Yeah. Is anyone else in New Zealand doing that work?
Yeah, we've got a few practitioners here. Not so much at this level anymore. There's a woman called Susie Neville, who is one of the faculty members of the C.H.E.K Institute. She's in Auckland.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great physiotherapist. And I end up sending the people that live in Auckland often to her.
Okay.
And yeah, a few more of colleagues on the South Island as well. But up here in Northland, north of Auckland, I think I'm pretty much the only one. Maybe
You're right.
someone in Whangarei, possibly. But yeah, very limited
Yeah.
practitioners here.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. And you kind of touched on that you find that people are finding you kind of when the traditional medical system is no longer serving them. Are you finding that still happening, or are you finding that people are getting curious a bit sooner than that?
Yeah, it seems like there's a shift at the moment,
Mhm.
which is cool because now finally there are more men coming as well.
Yeah.
When I started, like my main client base was women, and it always has been the case. Also back in Germany, I seem to speak to that group of people. Um, and now there's more men coming. There's people coming not just because there's a chronic condition, but maybe there's a recurring injury that keeps them from playing their sport. I see a lot of golfers coming through the door, runners, professionals that notice that their back gives them grief, or they start gaining a lot of weight, or something's off. So there's more curiosity of people actually looking for solutions before it's getting to a point where it's really debilitating.
Mhm. I love that.
Um,
I love that because I love Martha Beck's work, and she talks about like anxiety, for example, as being a message to get curious. So a lot of the times in our medical world, we've talked about anxiety like we need to calm ourselves down, or we need to let the thoughts go by, or things like that. But she actually talks about getting curious. And so from what I'm hearing you saying, people are kind of getting curious
hmm.
and then getting creative. So what you're offering is, like you said, like a whole person support. Uh, and so they're getting curious, therefore getting creative because they know that, they've often tried, or word of mouth probably is happening for you too. And
Yeah.
I suspect a lot of wives are telling their husbands as well to come.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that's the thing with women. We're in the marketing world. We're the decision makers. We're the ones that will actually go out and get curious and get creative to find that support that is needed from that message that we're receiving. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
No,
cool.
lots of truth in what you're sharing. Yeah, definitely agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, like the anxiety or pain, how we as Czech practitioners look at it as it's a messenger. And then there's the saying, don't shoot the messenger, right? So when we look at how mainstream often deals with it, it's like you throw in a Panadol or ibuprofen and just mask the message. So you shut it off. And then further down the track, the strategy doesn't work anymore because then you miss the initial cue of your body telling you, hey, you need to pay attention. So that's why this is the pain teacher in how I look at it. And more often than not, there's an important reason why it's showing up for whoever is coming to the clinic. And if we can embrace it and see it as an opportunity to, again, get curious and to see, okay, what's not working for me? What have I been doing over X amount of weeks or years even that led to where I'm at now? Of course, if someone has a car accident, that's a very obvious traumatic event, and you can probably look into the metaphysic of that as well. But like that's more
Right.
like a clear, okay, there was a traumatic event. That's why there is now an injury or whatever is happening after the event.
Mhm.
But most of the time, there's a clear breadcrumb trail that we can follow why someone is in the situation that they're in when they come to my clinic.
Mm, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's cool. And so we were hoping to cover some
Mhm.
importance around posture and breathing. I wonder if you could
Yep. Yep.
do a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I
Yeah.
just taught a workshop a couple of days ago
Okay.
about it. So posture is the position where movement begins and ends. So basically, it's not a static concept. It's like when I look at you, you're in a certain posture right now. I'm in a certain posture right now.
Mhm.
And if we're thinking about how that affects our life, if we can return to a more optimal posture or alignment where all our joints stack nicely, so that the forces of gravity and the load that we encounter every day is like evenly distributed so that we're not overusing certain parts of our body. Now, if I'm just exemplifying what modern life does to us, we're spending a lot of time going off our central axis, and we have a lot of load on the ligaments of the back, on the important structures of the body where our nerves run through, everything that feeds our body. Um, so then we're also overusing those structures. We might round the shoulders, start using our arms and elbows and hands more than what they're designed to do. We're forgetting how to interconnect movement through the whole of the body. So often, like people can't recruit their core muscles and their stabilizer muscles anymore because they're so kind of out of the alignment and also disconnected to their own bodies and physical experience that it needs a lot of re-education on that level. And then segueing into the breath, it's similar. Breathing is the most important function in our body. So our system will do whatever it can to maintain enough breath. And if someone, for example, is restricted in the nasal pathways, the body actually will throw them in a forward head posture so that they get more oxygen in. And that's the important thing why we need to assess someone really thoroughly to spot those patterns, because it's easy to say, oh, you're probably sitting on a desk too much. But actually, what's happening is that person doesn't get enough air and oxygen into their system. And then we take around 25,000 breaths every day. So there's a lot of repetition. Now, if we breathing shallowly, or if we're not expanding through our rib cage, or if our diaphragm doesn't move enough, that can produce all sorts of conditions, like even like digestive problems, leaky gut, anxiety. That can be all a byproduct of us not breathing optimally. So that is usually the beginning of a rehabilitation process with me. Is like, okay, we'll start with getting people back into diaphragmatic breathing. We're gonna write an exercise and stretching program that takes care of the muscle imbalances, stretching and lengthening the shortened muscles, activating and conditioning the weak and long muscles, finding where's rotation in the body. So that is kind of often in the pelvis. Is there rotation? Do we have a scoliosis in the spine, which we can address with exercise most of the time? So it's not a death sentence. And then just bringing the body back to more harmony so that people know, okay, this is like a relaxed posture. This is a marker for which I can return to. And then they get better at spotting when they leave that position. So basically, we're improving the feedback mechanisms in the body so that people actually are in relationship with their bodies, with their feedback systems, and then they get better at managing themselves and have an awareness what they need to do to stay in that state, or to be stronger in the postures or movement patterns that they use at work or at life, or in the sports that they play.
Yeah, amazing. And so much of this, it's never been addressed or never been talked about in our formative years. And
Mm.
then like you say, we get this pain, which is our message. And then we can connect with people like yourself and start, everything makes sense, So if I'm standing in the right posture, if I'm taking in the optimum amount of oxygen, then therefore my cells are going to be oxygenated, which are needed to move around my body to feed all my organs so that they're functioning well. So then I can function well. And then when I'm in my best optimum function, then life can potentially go so much better for us. So, and then we're not having to rely on a health system, which, as we all know at the moment, is not sustainable. It's not able to support us. So it's around, I call it assurance rather than insurance. These types of learnings, and I call you a guide or a doula or a steward of this information through your experience, and then ripple effects out to so many others. And that's where Heart Place Hospital comes in. If we can share this knowledge and this understanding and this celebration of our physical being, our mental being, our spiritual being, our emotional being, to those who are in front of our next generation, of our vulnerable citizens, then it ripple effects out so much faster than us trying to just work with one person at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. And it's also showing you what we can do together, collaborating, because you can't do it all on your own. And if we can hold each other's hands with that and kind of really share all the amazing work that is out there
Yeah.
so that it gets into the right hands, that's really what we
Yeah.
need.
You're right on. You're bang on, and that's where what I call feminising the health and education system. So, like you said, with the practitioner in Auckland, you were like, "There's no competition. It's collaboration. Hey, here's someone here close to you who can offer you the same expertise that I can offer."
Mm.
And no doubt, she'll do the same back. And like you say, collaboration, that's where Heart Place Hospital comes in. We're the umbrella to what is possible. And as you know, when we work with our frontline workers, we create a healing roundtable. And it's in partnership agreement. So we meet each other where we're at, because so often our visitors, have expertise in health. So meet them where they're at and meet them with our expertise, and then together we're so much better. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm really, really excited to support your mission as well moving forward.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Uh,
It's amazing to have you on board.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Any
just
other questions from your
Yeah,
end?
I just wanted to, if we could just tap in a little bit around discussing how empathy and listening and compassionate
Mhm.
leadership are essential in transforming our healthcare experiences. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is something I'm still learning myself.
Me too, me too.
So I believe it's like a constant learning and a constant process. And a lot of that is like, of course, on one hand, my professional work, but also like my relationship and noticing, okay, I really need to step up in the relationships that really mean a lot to me in the family with my daughter. So it's kind of like everyone is benefiting from
Yeah.
that. And I think if I put it in a short, concise way, it's really the ability to be present with someone else's experience without having the need to fix or change or alter anything about that. Doesn't mean that you necessarily need to agree or like kind of be completely absorbed in their story, but just being there. And a mentor of mine, Joanna Rushton, put it really well. It's like you don't need to listen from your small perception of how the world works. You're simply sitting in your heart space, in your empathy, and just being there. And that is key. And then usually what happens is people can relax more, feel safe, feel seen, feel heard. And then you all of a sudden have probably done the most important piece of the healing process right there and then. And then everything else is working way better because people start to trust you. People have a feeling that you're on their team, that you're not just someone that will tell them what to do again, just clinically and without any emotional connection. So it kind of creates the space or the framework for effective healing or therapy work to take place, or coaching even.
Mm, yeah, that's beautiful. And I think what I'm noticing with all the service providers at Heart Place Hospital, we've had the pain to purpose stories, and we've actually experienced that compassionate, empathic, safe space holder. And so then we're kind of like, wow, that was epic, and I want to be able to offer that to others. So I guess that's where the wisdom keepers and the expertise comes in, having had lived experience and being brave enough and courageous enough to, like you talked about, your mentors, I call them magical mentors, taking on magical mentors, so that we too can evolve, so we can hold space for others as well. And it is a practice because I love a good talk, and I can also ensure some great solutions, but it's a practice to really hold that space so that we can come back to those sovereign, um, independent self healers that we're actually originally designed to be. Of course, we thrive and flourish well in community, but ultimately we've got this inner pilot light, this inner knowing, this self with a capital S that is guiding us, and we've just got to do a lot of unlearning and remembering that, in practice, it is here to serve us for our highest good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Trust and surrender is a big piece at some point of the journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a lot of resistance to work through before you realize, okay, now I really just gotta surrender into this.
It's true. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of unlearning. So through a lot of the schooling, the education systems that many of us have been through, we've been looking for validation, or we've been looking to be right,
mm,
or to be black or white, or to be broken or fixed. So there is a lot of, I still catch myself. I'm like, oh man, it's still there.
yep,
So, and that's where, self-compassion comes in. And then when you practice self-compassion, then it's so much easier to be compassionate to others when you can give yourself a little bit of ease and grace. Yeah.
absolutely. And it's like for everyone that works with other people, it's like the most important thing to come back to is you need to fill your cup first. And it's like if someone has a giving nature, it's like sometimes so hard to come to that place because it feels so easy to give to other
Yeah.
people. But you can play that game only so long till you start to really burn out and lose the connection to yourself or lose yourself in the process of that
Mm.
as
Yeah.
well.
that we're seeing a lot of that. So our carers, and put my hand up. I've one of them still practicing. That we're here to serve. It's just in our bones, and it's actually understand that we, like you said, we've got to give to ourselves first, so that we are giving from that overspill. And that's what we've seen a lot of at Heart Place Hospital is burnout. But really, I see it as that we can support people safely and in a sanctuary that they can actually choose themselves over their paychecks. So we can, get curious and get creative, and we can support them to find a sustainable way to offer their expertise. And people should be able to sustain being someone that serves, who cares, who gives. So it's and we couldn't find it. I couldn't find it, so that's why I founded Heart Place Hospital. So it was something I couldn't find. Same with you. When you found all your mentors and the types of modalities that you now share, they all clicked into place. So it's pretty magical when you step into your purpose from that pain. And not saying, it's simple, not easy, but together it's so much better. And that's why we've built this community, so that others can see. And this is the point of this podcast, is so that others can see where people have come from and now what they're doing, but also for people who are actually looking for a root cause support as well. Yeah. Which is, we can spend years, many years, and many amounts of money band-aiding. But when we find the right person fit for us, it can be really fast. Yeah.
Fast tracking, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much, Martin, for being on the Heart Place Hospital podcast. I just wonder if you could share with our listeners something that's coming up in your heart place, and how can people find you?
All right. What's coming up for me is really the message that it doesn't matter where you are right now. If you are open and willing to take the next step and ask for support, and you are willing to move forward, trusting that there's a better future for you, then there will be people there to support you and give you the hand, the knowledge, everything you need to bring it to the next level or to overcome that crisis that you're in. So I believe that change is possible anytime, anywhere. It might not mean you're going to be exactly the same that you've been before. It might mean that you need to surrender who you think you are and become something even better. And people can find me on my website. That's foundationu.co.nz. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and how I usually work is, let's have a chat. If you think I might be able to support you, we'll sit down and see if it's a good fit, because I want to make sure that the person that works with me gets benefits, gets value, and to learn what needs to be learned. So there are packages for different situations and circumstances, and I'm always willing to put the work in for whoever wants to go on a journey and learn the necessary things to heal.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much, Martin. I look forward to sharing this with our community and working alongside you in the future from now on.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for having me on.
You are welcome.
All the best for your mission, and I'm super excited to support your mission as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.